Chili here with Sirius Telus Moon, and with Lilith in Mula Nakshatra, we have a lot of chance. You see, I have a lovely ad to travel to United States, Canada, and Antarctica. I think most of you understand that it's not old money to say that, but I'm not old money yet. Yet. So I just enjoy deliberately exposing my nervous system to beautiful, beautiful scenery. By the way, there were complaints about Mamdani. And then I saw a short about a father that had a daughter that wanted to rent apartment in New York. Now, indeed, I put my mother through the same crazy when we lived with her at my grandmom to study at the school and have job opportunities in the center. And I understand the challenge. Her father was supposed to be a guarantor. And he had to come up with sums of money that he didn't imagine that he'd have to come up. And when I see this, I say, listen, New York is probably a beautiful city, a bit polluted, air polluted, a little bit air polluted. Sometimes the air is yellow. Also Tel Aviv, I love Tel Aviv, but not always is possible to travel because of the quality of the air. And after such things, I understand how come there is a Mamdani. Now, I don't know what is the solution. I usually tend to think towards, let's say, when I wrote essay about the housing crisis in Malmo, because everybody was looking to the Swede model without knowing the context, including myself. Then I went and learned it. And the story of Sweden was they did not have miners' revolution because to attract miners they couldn't just do slave trade, or at least they chose not to, and they offered social conditions to the miners, which was possible because it was a lucrative industry. Then the people in other sectors had to pay 105% tax. So this is the history of the Swedish model, and the internet site back then said, "In tax we trust." So, politic. I want to talk about Lilith because one of my eurekas with Lilith, ruled by Jupiter square sextile Uranus, was the way Lilith can show up in synastry. Even amongst friends, by the way, Lilith is the woman that would not be subjugated. And another person's Lilith, let's say somebody walks with their chart, walks around, conceitfully juxtaposing themselves to another human being in an amiable interaction. Might not be anything to do with sex, or intimacy, or relation, or whatnot. These two people have Lilith. And their Lilith will show up in the field of the other person. One of those people, let's say you're a man, gay or not, because it can show as woman, it can show as man as well. And you walk with your self and natal chart walking, having the right to roam. You're juxtaposed or juxtapose yourself to another person. One of those people may be expressing the Lilith in your chart, even though they have no placements around the Lilith in your chart. maybe lots, or I don't know, or midpoints that they haven't computed. And Lilith is the woman that will not be subjugated. So this person would be the woman that would not be subjugated by you. Men, I want you to think about, and again, if women are, how should I say that? I'm not the type of person looking to subjugate a man. I have Lilith in the first house and in the second. True Lilith second, Lilith in the first house, and this shows off. By the way, let's say you have Lilith in the 8th house. It might mean that your significant other or somebody in your 8th house will not agree to be financially subjugated by you. Now, let's say you in Bilderberg Group or in World Economic Forum. One of the genius things about juxtapositions is that it will bring the Liliths in that house. Okay? Oh, that's the woman that would not be, that's the woman that would not be in relations where, let's say, you know. So, one thing I can think about when it comes to Lilith, I did a video a while ago on one of my BitChute channels, either Rockefeller Astro League, Jupiter Point of Thales, Sirius Thales Moon, I think maybe I addressed it once. And it went like, Lilith is your partner. I wasn't dating anybody writing this. I wasn't thinking to date anybody writing this. I was just juxtaposed with all types of bombardment, and that issue came up. And this is where 20% off. See you next month. The renta is coming at the end of the month. And then I'm going back to being a toddler. Uranus opposition is a fascinating transit. And I tried to work, so I work by the train. They needed employees at where the coffee. The supermarket next to the house, they need employees. I don't do the mistake of trying because I'm in good relations with them. I want to keep it that way. And then I said to myself, well, maybe they need barista. Do I have talent to be barista? I don't know. Never tried that. But I would need a chair. I wrote my number. I wrote my details, my honest age, 42, and nobody called me back. Nobody called me back. And why it can play good? For example, if you go to the beach, you get cooked at the beach. 2-3 days you need to recover. The skin needs to recover. You make money. Then you go to the beach again. Then you save money. Then maybe you buy a place next to the beach. Doesn't have to be a mansion. Then maybe you say, it's nice to have a place next to the beach, but I am sick of being cooked. Maybe I will climb a mountain. Then you can decide, maybe some people sublet the place or rent the place, or rent the place in a way where the person might have the opportunity, if I would sell, that their installments would be their first installment. And that's how. Doesn't mean that I would sell the place, but if yes, and then if they invest money from their own to improve the estate, I can do the estate like a traded company. And so they get their private equity as tenant. Now, but what does it show? I have Lilith in second house. Second house is house of income. And is woman that would not be subjugated at work. And it's not because she is rebellious. It's just that she's not going to pretend that she's something that she's not. Okay? For example, in the golden age, in the gilded age, courtesans were the free women. What would a woman like me do in the gilded age? I don't know. I would have to run away to a society that is not rapey, that is maybe matriarchal. Because even though the courtesans were not the women that they said, oh, this was a whore, and this is a this, and this is a that, I'm not courtesan. I'm as and where Lilith shows up in chart, and if you are the recipient of another person's Lilith, what does it mean? Let's say you have kind of like you, a woman walking in the world, or cis or trans or whatnot, and a man walks into your life, can be completely not associated with romantics or sexuality or whatnot. They have Lilith in another place in your chart. Suddenly, that comes into expression. Let's say somebody has Lilith where Pluto is right now. A lot of women that talk like me about rewriting Genesis and the Huguenots were massacred because in Genesis there was subjugation and so on. It doesn't mean that they have placements in where Pluto is right now. It can be that somebody brought their Lilith there. And then the woman that would not be subjugated is basically not Eve, but is also not sufficed with being exiled. Like she's going to need to have her dwelling, she's going to need. But this is what I have to say to men who are looking for women, or men who are looking for gay men, that let's just say that where the gay other person is supposed to be more of the qualities of the emotional containment, the softness, the feminine. As I don't care that it sounds stereotypical, because sometimes stereotypes are good to understand what people mean. Yeah, for example, when I say I'm not a courtesan, people understand it's not about how much money, it's not about the way that I'm being perceived, because courtesans were the free women, and I'm not Eve either. Then it sits. It's like, okay, that's a person compatible with matriarchal society. So any society where no matter what, sexuality is not a trade thing. There are societies like that. What society? I don't know. Maybe matriarchal, maybe a tribe in Ekvel that hopefully doesn't sacrifice children or anything. So, um, and and why is this important? Because in times of economic crisis, people think that people would do certain things. Now, if you know in advance what woman will burn entire village down, if you even think about it, it's good to know to not approach that woman. While other women will be saying, wait, I can be the courtesan, I can inherit his house. I'm not those women. Now, tip for men. Check where Lilith is in your chart, the true Lilith and the black moon Lilith. Where Lilith is in your chart, okay? This is very important. The women in your life, particularly significant other. Not necessarily, but if you have significant other, then if you don't have significant other, then some women in your life or the women in your life will always express that, and no man that is coming from you. Where Lilith is in your chart, okay? How should I say it? If you build a house, and the house is supposed to sustain storm, earthquake, and flood, the things you must follow for the house to sustain storm, earthquake, and flood. With Lilith, wherever Lilith, where's the deacon? Where is that sign? Where's the ruler of the sign? There, no matter what, world war, intifada, terror, kidnapping, hospitalization, assassination attempts, a woman will not be subjugated in that part in your chart. And you know, it can be the funniest of things. It can be, let's say, a woman, let's give extreme cases. A man meets woman, woman is I don't know, stay-at-home mom, something completely not anything like me, but I give this example on purpose and you'll soon see why. But when it comes to man's 8th house, yes, Lilith. Woman is stay-at-home mom. Never ever will she ever give up her land, her bank account, and her passive income. If he divorces, he should at least say goodbye to 50%. Why? Because that woman would not be subjugated. Let's say that woman is career woman. She always has to have her own bank account, her own land, her own passive income, her own separate. Why? Because she will not be subjugated. And if a man knows where's Lilith in his chart, true Lilith and the black moon Lilith, and prepares his life so that he just think about it as you're building a house is supposed to sustain storm, earthquake, and I don't know, nuclear bombing. you cannot build that house, let's say, with recycled bottles. I thought to build a house one time in I saw some Dutch people do that, and I thought, um, now I think it might not be a good idea, particularly on the very stable soil of Netherlands. But you understand that if you even think that a woman will be in any way negotiable in these particular areas in your life as a man, where your Lilith is, every woman brings her own Lilith, that is, but where your Lilith is, what you have, how she said, your chart is your territory. If you know in your land, let's say you have a land, big land, on that land there is a swamp. You know where the swamp is located. You can plant eucalyptus trees there. But then where the eucalyptus tree grows, 1 meter nothing grows. I think 1 meter, if not 10 meter. You know that where that swamp is, you can plant eucalyptus, but what you cannot do, you cannot plant next to the eucalyptus and expect something to grow. You can have something that is elevated, it is like, but not sharing the same soil. Is in your land. It's not the woman. It's not that if you bring another tenant there, then suddenly you will be able to plant things next to the eucalyptus tree. It's not that if you take the eucalyptus tree away, the place wouldn't return to be a swamp. Yeah? You don't blame the tenant for nothing growing next to the eucalyptus tree, because it's a feature of your land. And also tip for landowners, if you had apartment, let's say apartment building, or once was a mansion, then 3 stories became 3 apartments. One place all the time changing, people changing. Then a person comes and they live there for 2-3 years. You barely hear from the person. What can you conclude? That person is called the day after the revolution. They are living the day after the revolution. This is why they hold for 3 years. What you cannot do with this person, you cannot subjugate this person. If you want to, let's say, sell the place, you're gonna have to leave a nice note by the thing. Listen, I want to sell the place. I have other apartments here, 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 and here. They will see the options. If they like them, okay. If they don't like them, they might look for something else. But what you cannot do is try to subjugate that tenant. Why? Because this tenant is like the Amnons. They managed to hold a territory that before them nobody managed to hold. Is only for one reason. They are the day after the revolution. If this is a woman, she is expressing her Lilith there. She's the woman that would not be subjugated. She's the woman that would not be. This is the woman that, you know, I lived in such exact apartment in Arad. It took me several months to educate the neighborhood not to ask woman if she is alone. Never to interfere. Other than that, I managed to take care of the same person. Asked me if in the beginning, if I live alone, let us say, hey, you can use our water, and you can go from here if the passage is close to the garden from the other neighbor. And then if I would see the tree needs a bit tending to or something, then and this is, I cannot even, this is tip that can cost person, that can save person so many scandals, so many troubles, because they have to think properly. What kind of person can hold a place that had energy that of many changes is Uranian energy? It's only woman that expresses her Lilith, meaning she would not be subjugated, meaning she's not courtesan, and will never agree to be. Even if she will date another person, she will be needing her own place. If there are problems, she manages, she takes care of the problems. And this is where if you cause problems to that tenant, they wouldn't say anything, they would just walk up and leave. Now, if you know, you can see what is the place that many people change and suddenly one person holds. Because when many people change, people think, oh, maybe even in workplaces, the workplaces changes, many people change, and then one person holds there for 4.5 years. I worked my first job at McDonald's. I was vegetarian. I did not know what vegan is. And I worked 4.5 years. It was supposed to be a temporary job. I got a disability for life. Why? Because I tried. I tried to work on my feet. Everybody knew it's not okay, and I was not supposed to try, but this was the end of it. I still did not get all compensation that I'm entitled to following those damages. And I'm 42. It was my first job in high school. I was maybe 17. Now, why was I managing 4.5 years? Because I was the day after the revolution. I was studying filmmaking. I was a TA in filmmaking. Had another job. All written. No tax evasion or anything like that. And the people changed around. I knew if you could hold a kitchen in McDonald's, you could hold a restaurant. I was one of the people that could hold the kitchen. Nearly cost me my mental health, but and then the attempts to subjugate me to higher rank without providing women rights. First of all, labor rights. I'm not supposed to work double times if I'm higher up the rank. Okay, even if I open a business. I open a business at first, I do everything. Later, allocate things to other people, and I work less. I become a satellite. Then they can have their own ideas with their own patents, and they can open a daughter company, and we can be equitable companies, so they get the patents and the dividends, and they have their brand, and we can be friendly brands or daughter company to my company. I'm not expecting to hire more people to allocate things and work double times and have to pay for taxi, which is very risky, in the middle of the night, as woman, without even weapon. Even with weapon. The regulation for weapon, a person with weapon can do self-defense and spend there at least half a decade negotiating a trial and still might be charged with 10 years of killing. And depending on the lawyer and depending on the judge. And then if they need to appeal, people think to carry arms, okay, but it has implications. You say, oh, person charged with nothing. A person can be charged with nothing, but at the end of the 15 years that is spent going the back and forth, not knowing if they're getting life sentence, 10 years, or nothing. Even if the prison is like Norwegian, it's still frightening. Now, that's the woman that will not be subjugated. If I don't have my woman rights, de facto I cannot work. I cannot pretend that I can work in that job. Now, for men, what is expressing in their chart? Let's say Lilith is where Pluto is right now. Let's say you're a Jewish man and you have Lilith in the first decan of Aquarius, where Pluto is going to, because this is going to be tremendously relevant for a lot of people as outer planets are going to, when I pinpoint the outer planets, it's a lot of people, it's a generation that's going to that. In various generations. And this is the decan that, according to Austin Kopok, is about the exile from heaven. Sefer Bereshit, Genesis. And indeed, I see that the stories of Genesis, the question of the man not subjugating the woman, with pleasure you will birth sons, Ayala Elisha, that was her brand for her orgasmic birthing school. All of these things coming up. If you're a man, let's say a Jewish man, and you have Lilith in that placement, true Lilith or black moon Lilith. I'm different to Tom Jacobs. Jacob said true Lilith is the real Lilith. Yeah. Okay. But I say both of them apply. And let's say you're thinking to date a woman, Jewish woman from a good home, the families relate, everything is kosher. If you don't know that you are the one, you're the man, you bring that Lilith. Everything will be kosher, everything would be fine. Then you would want to have children. You say, oh, it's fantastic. I will call Ayala Elisha. What? With pleasure you will birth sons. Now you say, Shirley, how do I get rid of that goddamn thing? It's in your chart. Is there remediation? Yes. Rewrite Genesis. They say, the one thing that I cannot stand, they say, is woman that is, but woman, you know, I'm looking for simple woman. The one thing I cannot stand is, I say, I don't know what are the issues. But for your sake, you better sort these issues out, because Lilith in your chart, you decide if you want to marry, but if you will marry the type of woman that will rewrite Genesis, and it's in your chart. Woman could be the woman that will not be subjugated in completely different areas in her life. wait.
חתכתי את כל מה שלא טוב, זרקתי, מה שכן טוב אני שמה במקרר.
זה את, אני לא הייתי ממליצה לאכול מזה. אוקיי. If you understand this, how should I say that? When I was teenager, I have faced some people think I'm exceptionally beautiful, some people think, eh. And of course, I will go towards the people who like, I have Jewish nose. I tried to change, to do a simulation of to change. It doesn't look good. Not only that, to change that, it would need to drill in the bone and, it's not like planting some things in the boobs, which could cancer or prevent cancer, depending on who you ask. But I was like, okay, that's just something that is a feature. Whoever with me have to be okay with that feature. It doesn't change. It doesn't go away. It's literally in the bone. I can do the symmetry of my face. I can do nice brows. I can, but my nose is my nose. Maybe I can contour it. When I try, it comes out worse. But this is my face. It's not changing. It's not going to change. Same thing with that Lilith. And by the way, I have true Lilith in Aries. Nose shows also of a character. And woman would not be subjugated. I'm not saying all of them have Jewish nose, but sometimes they can be more rectangle shaped faces, assertive faces, because Aries is a Martian feature, kind of like Aries ascendant, or something nose that is protruding, or something that says warrior. Can be sometimes the face can be somehow accentuated. If a small face, they can be more rounded than more rectangle than round. If it is now, most men have a lot to do with this place, because this Lilith, number one cause for divorce. When Uranus went to Libra and women could divorce, they divorced by the masses. And it can also be, even if the man divorces or leaves, then that Lilith could sometimes be the issue. Now, if it's the Lilith of the woman, a man is not okay with the woman's Lilith, is not okay with the woman. I was once told, Shil, if you don't like the Mars of a man, who said, what is Mars? Is the penis, is the way of the man. If you don't like a man's way, you don't like the man. And this is something that is golden rule. If you don't like a woman's Lilith, you don't like the woman. And this is also for women. Know thyself, even if it is in gay relations. This is the places where the woman not be subjugated. And this is where anybody is not okay with that, boss, friends, whatnot, they're fighting with themselves. Now, another person, if they have Lilith in different place, suddenly, if you suddenly become to express yourself in places where before you weren't even concerned with. It can be transit in Lilith, but it can also be a Lilith from somebody else's synastry. But if you are a man, until you're not able to be okay with the woman not being subjugated where Lilith is in your chart, you're not, don't even think about marriage, don't even think about one night stand. I saved you with this tip. Billions on astrologers, billions on divorce lawyers, billions on business disputes, billions on real estate losses. And you would see, sometimes in life, right now there's outer planet, let's say around Aquarius, around Gemini first decan, around Aries first decan. So the Liliths there are scheduled to have an activation. It means that if you're going to if you have Lilith, true or black moon Lilith, in the beginning degrees of Gemini, Aries, or Aquarius, now you're scheduled to deal with this Lilith person in your chart. And it's not dealing with the person, it's dealing with the Lilith. The Lilith will not be subjugated. I gave you, I saved you readings for Pluto transits, Neptune transits, Uranus transits, Uranus squares, Uranus returns, Pluto squares, Neptune squares, Pluto positions. Neptune, if you have a Neptune opposition, then yes, Neptune opposition. Just by watching this video, let's say, I should be able to buy a house by the sea. I just hope there wouldn't be tsunami. Now, you can accept that, or you can eventually come to realize that it's right. A smart man accepts that. You will have many other things to negotiate, many other things to learn what you can change or what you cannot change. This you cannot change. And right now, whether you like it or not, you're going through transformation where you'd have to accept whichever woman in your life, even if you stay single, at times where there are those transits, some woman in your life, even if you're gay, then it can be the significant other, will accentuate the qualities of those Lilith, and she won't be subjugated right there. Whatever emotional issues you have with this, first of all, now's the time to sort them out now, because if you have come to accept that and have come to manage your life with the knowing that this is something that cannot be changed, world war, genocide, democide, being the Nazis and being the Jews and being the Nazi Jews and earthquake, tsunami, Lilith there will not be subjugated. If you accept that and you learn, how should I say that? I traveled to Tel Aviv, but also to Ashkelon. There was a big building, I don't know if it was municipality building, and there was a tree, old tree. That old tree was standing there. The building was built around it. That Lilith is that tree, is that Constantine, she would not be subjugated. Whatever you build around that tree. You never know how that tree drains the soil, nourishes the soil, sheds the environment, um, is a warning to pest-like crops. If you build your life around it, one tip that will already make you prosper. You know, this place in my chart is a Lilith. Here I will meet a woman that world wars, she would not be subjugated. Global crisis, she would not be subjugated. She will eat the edible fruit from the jasmine flower and go to the beach and come back, would not be subjugated. Everybody's looking for her. They give grants for people to try to work. She would need to have a chair next to the barista. It's not because she's rebellious. She knows she can't stand on her feet. That's it. You build your life around that, you will prosper. At least you have one chance for prosperity that, you know, they say you need to learn what you can change, what you cannot change. If you accept what you cannot change and focus on what you can change, you have more peace. So these transits of Lilith are meant to bring more peace. They say, okay, this place in my chart, I will have in my life, woman will not be subjugated. So let's say if it's Aquarius, if it's first house, it might be an aspect of the self, or no woman in your life would be subjugated by you. Why? And even you might think, but with this guy, she seems to be okay. She seems to be more, whether it's good for her or not good for her. Why with me? Lilith in the first house. For example, if I was lesbian, I have Lilith in the first house, I know that the only women that would ever be a chance would be women that would not be subjugated. If I would have issues about women that would not be subjugated, if I was lesbian, I would never be able to date. Because both I'm the woman that would not be subjugated, but next to me, every woman would not be subjugated with me. I don't have inclinations to subjugate women. Second house, let's say Capricorn ascendant. Second house, you will see that if your skill, let's say you are a tutor and you give English classes to a person, and you make money from that person, or you teach a skill to that person will not be subjugated. But also you, if you're a woman, you will not be subjugated, or the part of you is the man, the feminine, will not be subjugated. In second house, I have true Lilith second house. These are the people that they would go and bomb the world before they will try anything like, let's say, OnlyFans. And they would be okay with the world to die if the world would be okay to try to subjugate them. But not only that, if they have, Aries is an innovative house, if they have idea for innovation, they will not be subjugated. So to work with corporations where there are rigid rules, rigid this, rigid that, not compatible. Now Neptune is going through that Lilith, which is fascinating because Neptune can be sometimes organized crime. Lilith Aries is not compatible with organized crime. Why? Because there are many rigid rules in organized crime. It's organized. Let's say organized crime wants to loot the Spanish bank for silver. I don't have an ideological problem with the fact that the Spanish people will be able to buy food that they can't afford because of inflation. But let's say they ask for these rules and for this discipline and for this, I cannot do this. I say I identify with the idea, identify with the goal, I identify, maybe even the strategy sounds good, but I'm not the type of person that is working under a person. I will not take oath to say, let's people say, okay, let's do this together. This person drives, this person, this person. First of all, I'm slow, so I'm a risk. Thieves need quick hands. I'm slow. But secondly, if I would have to take oath that I don't snitch, that I don't this, I don't know what will I do at a certain time. I could say, yes, of course, we were taking a silver because people will be able to buy food and we don't have money to buy them food, but we can take the silver and we will trade with the silver and they will have food and it's the Bank of the Inquisition. Who are the people of friends with you here? That person, that person, that person, that person. Why? There's nothing to hide. If it's a crime to allow people to eat in your country, then your country is criminal against humanity. Yeah, not compatible with taking oaths and taking this. Oaths can also cause inflammation. Third house. Third house, if somebody has a business, their clients, the people that work with them on the business, let's say if the partners on the business, if they try to hire someone, they have to have very equitable model for business, and the patents have to be equitable. For remember, I had a friend that had this, and they had an idea, and I had an idea for a technology for an application that would trace, let's say, I don't know, certain things, war alerts, let's say. It would predict where there would be, I will give the actual examples, natural disasters, because if I would say war alerts, now people think that I know something, and I don't. But let's say it would predict where there is a place using their model, and then create app, and then people will be able to use that, and it would be kind of like the app we have at war, which is Pikuda Oref. And by the way, with AI probably was something that would be possible to do. Then we try to pitch that idea, and we go to a place. In that place, they hire researchers team, and every 2 years release them because they're students. I say it's not a business model that builds solutions. Why? They had Lilith third house. In the business ideas, patents, they would meet either them or them and the other person would be the woman that would not be subjugated. What was the idea? I cannot tell. A person woke up with an equation. It's their idea, it's their patent. And here's the thing: people can have world wars. But one person, maybe they got tortured, they attempt to traffic, or maybe they're raped, or maybe I don't know. This is my idea. This is their idea. Okay? It's like the tree that people have to build around. Fourth house. Fourth house is one of those difficult placements. Why? It's the woman that would not be subjugated at home. One of the parents of these people would be the woman that would not be subjugated. For example, I have ruler of fourth and seventh house, co-present with Lilith, the same sign. Any place I live, I'm the woman who would not be subjugated. Now, how does it look like? Very weird in the beginning. When I moved out of my parents' house, at first, I was living in the room that was filled with fluid from the roof, sleeping in, and if they had to schedule me to be at home, it was very difficult. But the landlord, I trusted him, and eventually there would be somebody at the home where. Why? Because I was a student. My schedule would not be, and seventh house is also one-to-one meetings. Yeah, Mercury is also ruling over Chiron with other issues, but when it comes to even home ownership, I don't own a home right now, but how should I say that? I have more awareness that if the market doesn't support people able to live in a house and have the sovereignty in the house, and if the sovereignty that one needs in the house, let's say have parent that lives 10 years where they cannot have basically a picture on the wall. I learned that after I painted a tiny bit on the wall and put some stickers. The person with the Lilith, co-present with the ruler of the fourth house, came up. I bring my Lilith to the fourth house. Would I be able to live in a place where I cannot plant? Or let's just say I was a student, then I worked in doggy sitting. It's my job. I see land missing is like everybody put the trash on the land. I don't argue with the neighbors. I begin to grow potatoes. People stop throwing trash into the land. And then the neighbors are like, oh, you guys want to sell? Which probably I would be deserving of dividends if they sold. Why? Unfortunately, there was offense against me, so I'm probably entitled to the entire estate. But let's say everything was okay. Then let's say they would want to sell. I would be deserving of dividends. Why? I made the land look better, and people want to buy the house. I raised the price of the real estate and brought people that are interested to purchase. Much more money would have been made in a 2% commission, even if 1% goes to me, than in trying to traffic a tenant, make their lives a mess, have the tenant